This runway, in just a few hours, will be inundated with a cutting-edge collection from some of the world's top emerging sustainable fashion designers. But what is sustainable fashion and why is it important? Let's find out.
The fashion industry is one of the world's largest polluters, and if we want to reverse that, the most fundamental place for change is on the designer's sketchpad. Over the next 5 episodes, Frontline Fashion will follow the 11 finalists of the world's largest sustainable fashion competition, the Redress Design Award.
When I heard I've become the finalist, it's definitely the biggest surprise for me.
Selected from hundreds of applicants, our finalists hail from all corners of the globe and are arriving in Hong Kong to prove that they are ready to lead the charge in sustainable design.
Stressful, challenging, but an opportunity of a lifetime.
I'm not ready, but my collection is ready.
Honestly, I think I bombed it.
Only one finalist can wow the judges to win the career-changing prize to design their own collection for Hong Kong's very own sustainable brand, the R Collective.
The designer needs to have talent, a lot of determination, great personality, and passion for sustainable fashion.
So join us to see whose conscious style has what it takes to cut waste out of fashion forever. The world is now slowly waking up to the environmental horrors of the fashion industry, and since every second the equivalent of one garbage truck of textile waste is sent to a landfill or incinerated, it's high time we did.
The damage fashion is causing to the environment right now, there is no other option than to become sustainable.
We're consuming so many resources by creating clothing that quickly.
I was super surprised when I just realized how much water do we need for making just one shirt.
It's shocking, the statistics, and I think the role as a designer is to try and help solve those things rather than contributing to the problem.
I am in Hong Kong right now. It's an incredible city. It's such an honor to have been able to come here.
Hi, designers!
It's going to be such a fun adventure, really.
So how are you feeling? It seems like a bit of nervous tension. Let's break this up. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
My name is Sita. This is actually my first sustainable design collection. I've never designed in a sustainable way before.
What made you change from being a fashion designer to a sustainable fashion designer?
There were just a lot of talk about sustainability around, and I think I was just in the right place at the right time.
The fashion industry in India is very fast moving, it's on a really fast pace.
India is the world's second largest producer of textile and garments, exporting around $40 billion worth of textiles, apparel and footwear every year. The strain this puts on the nation's natural resources, however, is devastating. The good news is that consciousness is on the rise.
I started learning more about sustainable fashion because I just couldn't ignore the fact that my waste, I don't know where that's going. In sustainable fashion, you do need to think backward. You can't design and then try to find sources for it. You need to see what's around you and then design accordingly. The city that I'm from is known for its hosiery industry. So it's a lot of waste threads and wools, and then I just started experimenting with different things.
Together with her salvaged trims and threads, Surat upcycled silk organza and used zero-waste techniques to create a collection that embraces handicraft detailing.
And so was it a lot more challenging to make a sustainable collection compared to a normal collection?
It was very challenging because the design stage, that's where you eliminate all the waste, just figuring out how not to waste. That took up at least double or even more amount of time than usual.
Interesting.
Sustainable fashion is a broad term covering a variety of environmental aspects of the industry. For the Redress Design Award, our finalists were challenged to focus on the issue of textile waste, incorporating at least one of the 3 key sustainable design techniques in their collection: upcycling, reconstruction, and zero waste.
My whole collection is zero waste pattern cut. Usually when a garment's cut, on average about 15% of the fabric ends up on the cutting room floor and then just goes to landfill, so that's really wasteful. Whereas creating a zero waste pattern, it uses 100% of the fabric.
So I am lucky enough to have an awesome studio set up at my house. So come on in and I'll show you guys around.
During my university degree, even though I did really love creating fashion, I always sort of felt like I needed to be doing something a little bit more important, I think.
This is my pattern making table, which my dad made me.
When I started thinking about sustainability and ethics within fashion, it really felt like it was something that I could feel proud of and something that could make a difference.
So I'm working on my zero waste pattern for the pants for my 5th look. So these are going to go with the really embellished jacket. It's covered in all the salvaged hardware.
To reach the finals, the designers had to battle it out against hundreds of other applicants to catch the eye of the judges with their designs and sustainability savvy. Once selected, they then had to transform their collection from initial concepts to runway-ready pieces.
It was super nice for me because I didn't know all of the techniques that they are proposing us for making the challenge. And then I said, why not? Let's try. And here I am.
We had to create 5 looks, 4 ready-to-wear and 1 couture outfit.
We only have 2.5 months to finish the whole collection, so we have to work super hard to finish all of the garments.
This cycle is the most aesthetically diverse in the Redress Design Awards history, with a huge variety of waste being sourced, shredded and stitched into new fashion-forward treasures.
I think the perception that people have of sustainable design, that it has to have a certain price tag or a certain look or a certain target market, and I think we all have a very different take on that, and I think it's super, super interesting to be in this competition for that.
And so what does sustainable mean to you?
There's so many takes on sustainability, so for me it's really about working with things that has been disregarded. For my techniques, I wanted to work with the tiny disregarded scraps, so a lot of patchworking in a more rough way. My philosophy is to create something that people would want. I mean, you can play around with a lot of stuff, but if you don't really produce something that is marketable, it will just end up in a landfill somewhere.
I've spoken to a lot of people that have said that they really want to wear sustainable clothing, but they just can't find anything that appeals to them. It's often quite a wholesome kind of style, so I think there's a bit of a need for streetwear that's a bit edgy and grungy. Being a total badass and a good person aren't mutually exclusive.
So what would it mean for you to win this competition?
For me personally, of course, it would be amazing. It would be an honor to design for the art collective, but I think the level of work is incredibly high this year. So honestly, I don't know what to expect.
So you've wowed the judges and got this far, but you have a big week ahead of you. Are you ready?
Yes!
Have an amazing week, and I can't wait to see your collections on the runway.
Thank you.
Next time on Frontline Fashion,
hi Jessie!
Our designers discover if their sustainability skills can translate from home studios
You look great on you.
Thank you.
to mass manufacturing.
I've definitely started thinking about how to integrate the values of sustainability into mass production.